Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Right Side Up. My name is Mike Tagliaviere. My co-host today is Alison Despathi. Alison, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Okay, so we've had pretty decent weather. Looks like, I don't know, this week we're probably going to get doused with some spring rain. We'll see what happens.
I'm such a wimp. I just want the warmth and the sunshine.
No, I know.
We're ready.
Yesterday there was a little bit of snow flurries. Nothing stuck, but
same.
It was threatening.
Yeah.
So Mother Nature, I don't think till May 15th we're out of the woods.
No.
I honestly don't think.
Got to wait on the garden.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely coming. I think, if I have time next week, I'm going to need to cut grass already, which is crazy.
I got to clean out my gardens. I've got asparagus trying to come up. It's exciting.
Oh, my wife and I were just talking about asparagus. We don't have any coming up yet.
Not
we're
yet.
At 1,850 feet of elevation. So
Yep.
that's a little bit,
Up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are too. But I cover it well, and I'm peeking in, and it's popping.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, is it like potatoes and corn and stuff? You need 50 or 55 degree soil temps for these things to start popping up?
Oh, well, people will put their potatoes in like ASAP, right? Like
Right.
People have them in. I don't know.
I know when it comes to corn, you need, I think, 50 or 55 degrees for soil temperature.
For it to germinate. Okay. Yeah, we don't do corn. We do lots of other stuff, but not the corn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
exciting to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to start off with S325 for this draft number 8.1 for anybody who's watching and following. For those of you in the listening audience who don't know what I'm talking about, this is in relation to amending Act 181 of 2024.
Yes.
Okay. There was a lot of uproar over the road rule and the Tier 3 mapping, so passed out of House Environment Committee on, what day was it? Thursday. We had S325 draft 8.1. It came out unanimously.
11-0.
Yes, I voted for it. I was very anxious for it to be voted out of my committee.
You made the motion before the chair was almost, not even finished saying that you were ready to roll.
On that. I jumped all
and
over
Mike,
that.
I just have to say, honestly, and I know I don't want to embarrass you, but you and many of your committee members, including Representative North, Pritchard, Labor, all of you guys worked so hard on it, and Vermonters are so incredibly grateful. So please
Thank you.
know that was a massive, and I know there's a lot of work still to do, such an accomplishment for Vermonters, rural Vermont, private property owners. It's a huge deal. So thank you. Really incredible.
Well, it's my
work.
pleasure. I have to say, it's
very
my pleasure
grateful
to do it.
you guys are in there doing this. So thank you. Yes.
Sure. So I want to, on page 1, section 1, 2024 Acts and Resolves, number 181, section 19, road jurisdiction is amended to read, section 19, deleted.
Yes. Woohoo.
Section 2, 2024 Acts and Resolves, number 181, section 21, Tiers 2 and 3 is amended to read, section 21, deleted.
Yes, huge.
Okay, so we did make a bunch of gains. There were some amendments. One of them I was not in favor of. There was an amendment that would have allowed for a project that I believe was going forward. I'm not sure exactly where it was, but I believe it's referring to a Williamstown project that the amendment got
this
taken
is
out.
what Senator Benson came in to discuss.
Yes,
Okay.
Senator John Benson came into our committee to testify in defense of the amendment. The wording that was in the S325S passed because there was question in committee about how much testimony was actually taken on Senator Benson's amendment, and there was testimony both in committee, excuse me, and on the floor. And through an agreement with Senator Watson from Washington County, they were able to work on wording that was amenable to both, and it did pass out of the Senate.
And then that was stripped from the House
That was
version.
stripped from the House version,
Right.
which disappointed me. But there are some other things that we went back and forth on. I know Wednesday we had a number of different versions. I personally was worried the wheels were going to start coming off.
No, you guys were hitting a record on
So,
drafts.
Yeah, we racked up a number of drafts pretty quickly. But
Right.
this is, as I've sent some emails in replies to people, this is basically step one. This is a step it's going to be of many. It's going to have to be. There are a lot of people who have, and thankfully so. I'm very thankful to all the people who have become quite civically involved in a very short period of time.
It's amazing.
You watch,
Yes.
sitting and watching on social media, people asking about the committee process. How do you get an amendment? Where does the bill go from here? So it's really great because the more people get involved like this, it's easier because more eyes are watching what's going on.
Yes.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe you're running an excavator all day. You can't be sitting watching what's going on in all of these committees up in Montpelier, but maybe you have a friend who works from home who can have half an eye on it on a second computer.
And can post it for you to
Who can
watch later. I mean,
exactly.
think of what our founding fathers are looking down thinking.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
think about that. Like the level of involvement that people stepped up. I mean,
Right.
this is exactly what we've needed.
Yes, and you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. People who've stepped up. We are talking about the Monday, this past Monday, a week ago.
Yes.
Okay, was the first day for candidates to be able to file their paperwork to become a candidate for elected office in the state of Vermont. Now, I wasn't even thinking about this, but this is a great segue into it.
Oh, yeah.
If you have run a business, are running a business, maybe you're an accountant, maybe you run an insurance agency, whatever it is, you are a landscaper, you run an excavation business, but you know what it's like paying your taxes and fees, having to deal with insurance companies, having to deal with liability insurance,
Trying
payroll
to make ends
taxes,
meet. Right.
unemployment taxes.
Right.
Our system is designed for citizen legislators. So, okay, you're paying attention. You know what the next step is?
Come on in.
This is the next step. And how many of you out there, I spoke about this on Saturday, how many of you out there have ever said or heard from a friend or family member, I just want to be left alone?
Right.
Me too.
I know, but sorry,
too.
now's not the time.
Yeah. So me
Come
too.
into the conversation.
And you know what I did? Instead of driving down the road, banging my hand on the steering wheel, screaming at the radio, no, you can't do it that way. It won't
Right.
work.
Now you're
Or-
at the table.
Or screaming at your television, you idiot, that won't work.
I know.
Yes.
Yep. Bring
I
it to
went
the
out
State House.
and I
We need it.
campaigned. And I got a seat at the table. And you can too, ladies and gentlemen. You really, truly can.
Yes.
There are a number of us who are freshmen. This is my first term. A number of us, 19 or 22 of us, I can't remember, or 26. No, I think it was 26 or 29, including Republicans, independents, and Democrats who flipped seats. We are the most in the nation, believe it or not.
Yes.
Tiny little Vermont.
I know. It's a good step. And look
Not
at
every
what's
one of us.
happening.
Yeah, not every one of us knew how to be a legislator. But the system is designed. You come, you take time away from whatever your profession is. You go to Montpelier, serve a biennium or 2 or 3, and then let someone else step up.
Yeah, and there's
and
a
do their
growing,
civic duty.
dedicated crew of Vermonters
Yes.
who are really looking out for Vermont, which is really the voice we need there. That's the work.
And then you get to figure out how you work on bills like S325 draft number 8.1.
Which people are calling unprecedented and monumental that this is
Well-
now moving through. And so isn't it on the floor tomorrow?
Well, it was on the notice calendar for Friday, but
Yep.
then we just got sent from one of the somebody who's become much more civically active.
Yes.
Sent both of us a text asking about
It's in
general
housing
in
in
housing.
housing
It
in
looks like
general,
it's
yep.
just a walkthrough. I don't know if they're going to straw poll, do a reading based on the
I think that's
some
at
of the sections.
1:20. Is that at 1:20 tomorrow?
Yeah, I
that's
think
happening?
yes, because if it would be second reading on the floor tomorrow or today, excuse me, where this show is airing Tuesday morning,
That's
so
right.
at 10
Here we
o'clock.
are. Yep.
So 10 o'clock, it's supposed to be second reading, so there'll be some floor debate, and then General and Housing is probably going to do a casual walkthrough on some of the sections pertaining to the housing exemptions that are
Right.
in there.
Right.
Okay. So it's still got a couple of steps.
Yes, indeed.
It's still got a couple of steps.
and then back
It-
to Senate as well.
and it right. Okay.
Right.
Just for instance, if it goes sails through tomorrow, second reading, and then it goes to third reading on Wednesday, depending on if there are going to be any people who propose amendments. It could go all the way to Friday before it gets noticed and messaged to the Senate for the Senate to decide. So, and keep in mind what's today? What do you got? 5-5.
Yeah, so Cinco
So
de Mayo.
we're talking about
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
So if we're projected to be in session till the end of May, but the Senate is projected not to be in session as long as we are, then that means we're running out of time. Time is
Right.
of the essence here.
Right.
So we need to keep that in mind.
And for those of you who want to stay updated and not sure really where to begin, the Act 181 Facebook page, obviously besides your
yeah.
legislators who can keep you in the loop that you reach out to, but the Act 181 Facebook page has been great with posting
Over 13,000.
testimony. Yeah, over 13,000 and growing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if you have a friend or a family member or whatever who owns any kind of land in the state of Vermont, tell them to join that group.
They should be tuned in.
Tell them to join that group. There's some really good people publishing some really good articles on there.
Yes.
And I have to say, some people have said, there's some misinformation out there. If there is, the people, when they find out that they've incorrectly quoted or stated something, the people I've seen have gone on and made corrections very quickly.
Yeah. And there's a
So-
lot to be sorted through still. I mean,
There
there's
definitely
so much
is.
that has to be figured out with, Act 250 and how that should work and what that's going to look like. I mean,
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of work and it's an ongoing process, but we have to
It
stay
is.
engaged.
But this is how it starts.
Yeah.
This is how it starts.
I know.
And, and one last thing, there are somewhere between 26,000 and 27,000 parcels that are affected by this.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see the Act 181 page get to 26,000.
Oh my gosh, exactly.
That would be a huge step, a great step for rural Vermonters to see that they've got a better chance of representation up under the Golden Dome.
Yeah.
So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you got a friend or family member who owns land, even if it's in a municipality, because in Act 181 there are housing exemptions and there are delegations of authority for permitting processes within municipalities. So it doesn't really matter
Right.
whether you've got 1 acre or if you've got 100 acres.
Right. You should be involved in this conversation.
You should definitely be involved in this conversation.
Yes. And there are a lot of people who are starting to step in to run. And there's a lot of incumbents who are not running again.
Yes, that's
this
true.
This is a really interesting
Yeah, this is-
opportunity.
this
a
is-
really an important opportunity for people to
Yes.
understand what's happening
Yeah.
and see if they can step in and be a part of this and make it happen for Vermont.
And we honestly, this tiny little state of Vermont we made history last election cycle. I think
Yes.
we stand to make history again this election cycle for two reasons. Number one, we're a very small populous state.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an off election year, meaning there is not a presidential election,
Right.
which typically means people are less engaged. Act 181 has the potential to completely change that dynamic.
Yeah, it seems like it is.
Yes. So this is why we are trying our best to keep people engaged, keep people informed.
Yes.
So just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. You've gotten civically involved. Thank you. Don't let your guard down.
Yeah, stay here.
Stay engaged. Keep your foot on the gas pedal.
Right. Because this is what we have influence over. It's Vermont and our communities and our state. Regardless of how people feel nationally, this is where we can make the impact.
Yeah.
And we need people involved in it. So
And talk about this at the water cooler. Talk about it at the dinner table. Talk about it over drinks and Friday afternoon.
Right.
Whenever.
And check out what's going on locally with your select boards, your planning commissions.
Oh, that's the other thing. All of the towns, all of the select boards, all of the planning commissions that sent letters of protest. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It really helps to make a difference. It really, truly does.
It's
so
an ongoing
with that,
work in progress,
yes.
right?
So you and I have managed to burn through one segment already.
As usual.
So, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Alison Despathy. All right, let's switch gears just a little bit here because it's similar topic. This article is from somebody who publishes now on Substack. Okay, and this is related to Acts 181 and 59. It's in plain English, please. This is dated April 3, 2026. The author is Alexis Thompson.
And what is her Substack again? Is it Alexis Thompson Substack or Follow the Yellow Brick Road?
Well, this Follow the Yellow Brick Road is one of them, but this one is in plain English, please. And I think if you just if you type in Alexis Thompson and it's spelled ALEXSYS.
Okay.
THOMPSON. That's how you'll find her on Substack.
She kind of launched in with this whole Act 181 thing, and she's been on fire with some great research.
Yeah, she's been doing some really good analysis.
Yes.
She's typical Vermonter, has seen what's going on with land use and has been very concerned and has dug into a lot of things, including this Act 181 and Act 59.
Yes, and Act 59, for those of you who probably know, but 30 by 30,
50 by 50.
Yes.
So, and that's preserving 30% of Vermont's land by 2030.
In perpetuity.
Right. And 50% by 2050.
Right, and we're at 27% conserved into perpetuity right now.
Right. So, this says Rural Vermont Rising Plain English Guide, April 2026. What just happened to Vermont's land in plain English? Acts 151 and 59 decoded for Vermonters. I like that. Data tells stories. Patterns show convergence. Curiosity validates both. You don't need to understand land use law to understand this. You just need 5 minutes and a willingness to look at what the public record actually shows. This is a quickly evolving story. Please subscribe to stay looped in. I highly recommend you subscribe to this Substack.
Yeah.
It would be really great for a lot of her publishings to spread like wildfire,
and to keep her on it because she's really doing a deep dive on some of the history and research here. Right.
So April 1, 2026, 2 documents, same day. Neither references the other. And no, this is not an April Fool's joke.
Right.
Let's see. Number 1, what did Vermont just do? Vermont passed 2 laws in the last 2 years that together reshape who can build what, where on Vermont's land.
And this was both passed over the governor's veto, or was
Yes,
Act
one was
59
2023.
not signed?
Yeah, it was not signed. That's correct.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah. And let me start that again. Vermont passed 2 laws in the last 2 years that together reshape who can build what, where on Vermont's land, and what happens to the land where you can't build. And like we just said, Act 59 came out of 2023 session. Act 181 came out of 2024.
Right.
Let's see. The first law, Act 181, divides Vermont's entire landscape into tiers. And you can see, we talked to in the first segment, S325, should it be passed, will change the tier system in 181 drastically.
Right.
Actually, it makes 2 and 3 go away.
Yes, in a way that we needed it to.
Yes, absolutely.
Both of these need to go away.
Yes, they do. Tier 1 is where growth is encouraged. Downtowns, village centers. Tier 2 is the rural middle. Tier 3, the land the state considers critical for natural resources. Act 181 also brings back a rule that was repealed 20 years ago. If you build a driveway or road longer than 800 feet on rural land, you need a state permit. That rule takes effect July 1, 2026.
Right.
If 325 goes through, as written right now, on July 1, 2026, that road rule will be repealed. It will not go into effect.
And you can start to get a sense for the overreach.
Yes.
And why people have been stirred up about
Well, it would have
these.
triggered an Act 250 permit and
Right.
all of the other. There's another list of somebody who's a civil engineer who went through all the permitting. The technical permits, excuse me, on top of, in addition to the Act 250 permitting.
Yep.
That's the thing that is overlooked here in a lot of cases. The other technical permits, the stormwater and the wetlands delineation, if need be, all kinds of other permitting that
are already
still
in play.
exists
Right.
in many, many areas.
And this is where Act 250 has got to be fixed to be used appropriately.
Yes.
For commercial development.
Absolutely.
Right.
The second law, Act 59, goes further. It sets a goal, and Act 59 came first,
Yes.
but they both enable each other. It sets a goal of permanently conserving 30% of Vermont's land by 2030 and 50% by 2050. Permanent my tongue is tied today. Permanent means forever, not a lease, not a temporary restriction, a legal designation that runs with land indefinitely, regardless of who owns it in the future. Very, very important.
You could have an entire show about what the impacts of that could be.
Yeah.
And this was all pushed through so fast because I remember I was lobbying against these.
It went through far too fast.
Yes.
The legislature didn't do its job, in my personal opinion, because the legislature is designed to be deliberative on purpose.
And I just want to say the farmers, the loggers, the foresters, the conservation districts, which are already doing good work in Vermont, they all were so angry when they heard about this because they were not included in the conversation. So the process
Passed
around
over.
this was compromised.
Yes. So, who wrote these laws? Both laws share a primary author, Amy Sheldon, a Democratic state representative from Middlebury, who chairs the House Environment Committee.
Yes.
Sheldon is not just a legislator. She is a professional natural resource planner. She owns a private consulting firm called Landslide Natural Resource Planning. Her professional career has been spent in exactly the field her laws now govern. Before being elected in 2014, she served on the Middlebury Planning Commission for 10 years. She served on the District 9 Act 250 board. The regulatory body, her laws restructured. The side of my page is cut off. Sorry about that. She served on the Middlebury Area Land Trust Board, the type of organization that directly benefits from Act 59's permanent conservation framework.
Right.
She has been rated 100% by Vermont conservation voters every year since she was elected. Vermont Conservation Voters was the only organization designated as formal witness on the road rule provision. The most controversial part of Act 181, she ran unopposed. In Vermont's citizen legislature, this is not unusual. Contested races are the exception, not the rule. This is why in the first segment, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about if you're involved now, there is a next step.
Yes.
Jump in. The water is warm.
Or
I
talk
promise.
a friend into it.
Yes. Or find a friend or family member who's got some sort of knowledge that they can apply.
And even just
in Montpelier
willingness.
or
Exactly. Yep.
The Vermonters most affected by Act 181 are only now becoming aware of what it does. And ladies and gentlemen, this has happened. This, like I said, when did this was beginning of April. So this is a month old. A lot happened in a month, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
a lot.
Thanks to everybody engaging.
Yes, because of people getting engaged.
Yes.
Doing their civic duty.
Yep. Of the people, by the people, for the people.
Consent of the governed.
In
Wait,
effect.
what? Not Act 59 and 181.
No, that's why we have to turn that around.
Yes.
And the steps are happening.
Yes. So where did the framework come from? These laws did not emerge from Vermont's own planning process. They arrived here through a documented pipeline. The National Caucus of Environmental Legislators, a Washington, D.C. organization funded by major foundations including Packard, Hewlett, MacArthur, and Rockefeller, identifies conservation policy models that have worked in other states and bring them to state legislators. NCEL's own published materials describe working with Sheldon to identify those models and sponsor Act 59. NCEL celebrates Vermont's law as the most ambitious conservation goal in the country and positions it as a model for other states to replicate.
And I would say definitely when you understand these, this is detrimental to the people who live here on the land and work the land and care about the land and have been doing that for a very long time.
In the Rural Caucus letter to my chair, Amy Sheldon, to Jill Krewinski, and I can't remember who else. I think our entire committee.
Yeah.
And I believe to the Senate Natural Resources Committee. There was a word used. Then when the letter was first published, it was in bold. I don't think it actually,
Stayed
bold
that
was,
way.
it didn't stay that way. Displacement, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the word.
Displacement.
And really, are we going to give all of this sort of land and development rights over to land trusts? I mean, that's a bad move.
It is a bad
for
move.
Vermont, and obviously has gotten many, many people upset. And I remember when this was moving through, Mike, and I was working over there and just keeping an eye on things and trying to lobby against this. There was a big conversation between the word conserve and preserve. A preserve is sort of this untouchable space. Conserve, working lands conserve. We maintain.
UVA land.
We steward them. So this brings us to the current
Use value appraisal.
conversation. Exactly.
Current use. Yes.
Yes. So
right.
what do you want to say about that? Because that's a big part of this,
Yes.
right?
Well, we had in our committee, we had a hearing, we had testimony on February 27th with respect to conserved in perpetuity versus conserved like is
Working land.
working lands,
Right.
as in the UVA
Current use
program
Right.
and H70, a bill sponsored by Mark Higley, and I believe I'm a co-sponsor on
Yeah, because
that
I remember
bill.
he brought that in last year,
Yes,
right?
right. It was brought in last session, but we did get testimony on there. And in my personal opinion, we tipped the scales that day.
Yes.
We made a valid argument in favor of including use value appraisal land in the 30 by 30 and 50 by 50.
Unless you are going to just repeal Act 59, H70 is the answer to Act 59. That
It
is
definitely
the
is.
solution, 100%.
It is a program that it should be kind of similar to what did they say? The most ambitious conservation goal in the country.
Act
How
59.
about the UVA program? Came around, 50 years ago?
I don't know the dates on that, but it's a Vermont.
This is late to the party.
program.
UVA
Yeah.
beat it by years,
And
by
this
decades.
is like focused on Vermont and for Vermonters.
Yes.
It's not this top-down foundation, lots of money coming
You're
in
absolutely right.
to conserve, Vermont up into a,
Right.
wildlife preserve. I mean,
Yes.
that's not what we
So
want.
a couple of key things, and then I'll get back into the article. 2.5 million acres, or 2.6, depending on who you talk to. 2.5 million acres in the use value appraisal program, current use.
Yes.
That's far more that is currently preserved under the Act 59 framework.
So if we were to count that current use land at
we
2.5
blow right past the
million acres,
30%, and we get to about 48%.
so we're right almost at that
We're
50
there.
by 50, and it's supporting
We can spike the ball.
Vermonters,
We're there.
supporting our working lands. Like, that's the solution. And that testimony, you're right, because I was sitting there listening to that testimony when that came in that day. What day was that? It was March?
February 27th.
Okay, February 27th.
It was Friday.
Yeah, amazing
And it
testimony.
went overtime.
Yes. And really justified this. Let's look at H70 and let that be the answer to Act 59, because that's a Vermont solution, not otherwise coming from somewhere else, which is attacking us.
And the other thing that it doesn't do, okay, that is not being done, that should be done, and I said this last Thursday in a forum in Tunbridge. The use value appraisal program is the most successful conservation program we have. It's been in place for, I think it's 50 years, sometime in the 70s.
Okay. Yep.
It's time that everybody who's enrolled in that gets the credit they deserve for being part of one of the most successful conservation programs this state and maybe this country has ever seen.
Exactly.
We should be broadcasting to the country and to the world, this is how you do it.
Look at what Vermont has done. Exactly.
This Act 59 is redundant. It's time wasted because we already have a program that shows us how to do it, and without sacrificing your development rights, without taking away the value of your land.
Exactly.
Without limiting what you can do. Let me correct that. Without drastically, like a conservation easement does.
Exactly.
Limiting the use of your land. And keep in mind also, and we're going to have to take a break because we've run way over. There's already conserved land inside the UVA land, and I can talk about this more after we take a break.
We'll pick up
but
there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've run way over, so I'm going to have to come back. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host today is Alison Despathy. Before we get into further discussion on the article I was discussing with Alison, I want to just remind our listeners, if for some reason you can't catch us on the radio, Right Side Up Radio at gmail.com if you'd like to drop us a line. If you can't hear us on the radio, you're too far out of the wavelengths. You can go on WNTK.com, find the podcast button, click on it, scroll down to any number of our shows Right Side Up, and you can listen to any of them any time of the day or night. You can find us on Podbean. You can find us on 802 Scoop Facebook, 802 Scoop YouTube. You can also find us on GraniteGrock.com. So I want to get back into this article a little bit. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I've got another article in the Wall Street Journal, climate change related, that I really want to cover. So, but Alison, there's some real good juicy stuff in here. So, let's see. NCEL celebrates Vermont's law as the most ambitious conservation goal in the country and positions it as a model other states to replicate.
And this is back to the Act 59
Yeah, this is back to the Act 59,
that
right.
we need to deal with and get rid of. Yes.
So the Center for American Progress explicitly named Vermont as one of 8 states successfully implementing the United Nations 30 by 30 conservation targets. The coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework through state legislation, NCE, its own published materials, describe Vermont's law as a model for other states to replicate. In her own words, in a published Sierra Club interview, "I'm very familiar with E.O. Wilson's Half Earth, and it just seemed like Vermont was really well situated to move forward in a meaningful way with the goal of 30 by 30 and 50 by 50.
And this was a quote from Chair Amy Sheldon of the House
That's
Environment
what this
Committee.
article is
Right.
saying here.
And this is where you see that all ideas and agendas come into the State House. I mean, that's all it is. The State House is full of ideas and agendas. It really is. And they make laws that affect us all. And then it's up to you guys, right, with all the hard work, Mike, to make sure it's going to serve Vermont and to be
Well,
able to say
does it-
no when it doesn't work.
You
like
bring
this.
up does it serve Vermont?
Right.
Does it serve Vermont?
Act 59, Act 181, absolutely
And this
not.
is one of those things that when people aren't paying attention, this is what happens. And now we're playing catch up.
Right.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Vermont's conservation laws were not designed in Vermont for Vermont.
Here we are, exactly.
They were delivered here through a national organization carried into statute by a legislator whose professional background is in exactly the field her laws now govern. That overlap is documented in the public record.
And I think it's important to recognize that we all have ideas and hopes and care, and there's no doubt that Rep. Amy Sheldon absolutely loves the environment, but we have to think about what the impacts are. How are people affected? How is land affected?
yeah.
How are taxes affected? How are
One
the
of the
working
things- yeah.
lands? And this is the problem. That This is what was not identified appropriately.
I don't believe that the question I ask all the time when I'm listening to some of the testimony we take in committee, what about the humanity?
Yes.
What about the humanity?
Right. And what's a good Vermont game plan? What works here that may not work anywhere
You know,
else?
and it was somebody, there was a very good explanation with regard to what we are supposed to be doing and thinking about in the Environment Committee. Every time we put a shovel in the ground, there is some level of environmental harm.
Right. There's an
Right?
impact. Right.
There's environmental impact.
And that could be digging into a garden, which
Yeah,
is a great
it could.
outcome.
Right.
Right.
We need to be able to put a pros and cons column up. And in the end of the day, if it's going to help us solve our housing problem, if it's going to help with the affordability problem, then that needs to be weighted in the argument, in the debate, in the discussion, when we're thinking about these things that come through, not just our committee, but all of them.
Right.
All of them.
And also just where the hard lines are. Where are the lines that you don't go past when you're
Yes.
getting into the realm of overreach
Right.
and, and just a top-down central planning system that is not going to go over well, like we're seeing with Act 181.
Yeah, well, we're seeing, yeah.
Yeah.
So the next section is this: who was supposed to be included but wasn't? Okay,
Yes.
and you and I have talked about this numerous times, and I've talked about with some of the groups that weren't included, or should have been.
Right.
Vermont has 14 natural resources conservation districts. They are locally elected, publicly accountable bodies that have been delivering conservation on Vermont's working landscape for 85 years.
Doing amazing work,
Yes.
working with locals, neighbors, farmers. Yes.
Yep.
And if you don't mind, Mike, I have to give a shout out to Jennifer Byrne, who I worked closely when we were pushing back on Act 59. She runs one of the conservation districts in White River area. She's amazing.
Yep.
And she understands, and she came and she spoke to Hal Sag, and she pointed out the issues of how come we weren't included in this conversation when we've been doing this work for almost 100 years.
Overlooked.
Exactly.
Overlooked,
Yes, one
so.
of the groups overlooked for sure.
Yeah, they work directly with farmers, foresters, and landowners. They employ more than 60 staff across the state. Federal law designates them as the primary entities responsible for locally led conservation planning.
Listen to that, right? Listen to that. Locally led conservation planning.
Yeah.
And they're doing good work.
But they were not included in the writing of Act 59.
No, they were not.
They are
No.
not named in the law.
Right.
Let's see.
And they pushed back. At least Jennifer pushed back.
Yeah,
Yes.
the part of my page is cut. What other organization? Conservation commissions, regional planning commissions, watershed groups are explicitly identified. Conservation districts are not.
Right. And
Districts-
farmers and loggers also felt the
Yeah.
same. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. They were told they would be more included in phase 2. They did not. That did not occur. The same message is now being given about phase 3. All right, I want to go skip forward to another one. What did these people say when they finally got to speak? And then I'm going to have to switch gears here.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can actually get my fingers
No, this
to work
is all
here.
a part of the process of what needs to be fixed here.
Yes. So on April 1, 2026, Vermont's Natural Resources Conservation District supervisors submitted a formal public report to the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board. Let's see. Session was conducted under Vermont Open Meeting Law. Indigenous partners participated. The report was signed and submitted to the agency overseeing A&R, I believe, or excuse me, Act 59. Forgive me, my part of this thing was not centered, and part of my page is cut off.
Printing, gotcha.
Their overall finding: this session made clear that the draft Vermont Conservation Plan is not aligned with how conservation is currently practiced or delivered in Vermont. They named the global framework directly. Participants raised concern that the plan and underlying law reflect alignment with externally driven global conservation frameworks, such as the United Nations Montreal Global Diversity Framework and related 30 by 30 and 50 by 50 targets, rather than locally grounded conservation priorities.
Right.
So
this is where we need to shift and make sure that this is about Vermont and for Vermont and not coming from top down.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to work here. We're unique and we care. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, exactly, Mike.
Let's see.
She does a lot of great research.
Yeah, this article, I really want to switch to this other one because this other one is really important as well. This, like I said, in plain English, you can find this on Substack. The author is Alexis Thompson, spelled Alexsys, last name Thompson, Thompson, dated April 3, 2026.
Yes.
Substack, there's a lot of great stuff on Substack.
Yep, and she's local and really focused on Vermont right now.
Yes, published by a Vermonter. So
we'll see where we land with the H70 and the Act 59, but if we can make that happen at some point, that would be another huge win for Vermont, is to get that H70 coming in to help fix.
So for those of you watching our committee, if you look on the committee page, you can see all the list of bills that are in our committee. H70 is one of them, and it's to include the use value appraisal land in the 30 by 30, 50 by 50, which is Act 59.
Right, which would solve it.
And you can check out that testimony from February 27th. I can't remember when it started. It started late because we were late coming back from the floor, but it was, I think it was either 10 or 11 it was supposed to start, but it started late.
Yeah, and I think Sam Lincoln was one of them.
Sam Lincoln was in there. Now that I need to remember who was there.
Well, you guys
Jed Lipsky, who's also
that's right, Jed Lipsky,
a legislator. He testified as a logger.
Yes, great job.
Okay, I want to switch gears here because we're running out of time. Wall Street Journal opinion. There's a piece that was sent to me by someone. It's a commentary. You can't trust climate economics. Governments, banks, and other institutions have based policies on models unconnected to reality. This is by Roger Pielke, I believe, Jr. This was updated April 29, 2026. And I'm not going to be able to get into all of it, but I hope you're able to find this and read it all the way through. This is one of the things, and I've said this on air, I've said it in multiple venues. We need to stop scaring the living hell out of our kids.
I know, exactly.
And this article points to so many incorrect data and fallacies that keep perpetuating these studies that are leading us toward this alarmism, and we need not be doing that.
And I think we also have to recognize, Mike, that there's a lot of money to be made in the climate agenda.
It's driven by money and power, the thirst for power and money.
The usual. Yes. And there's even a fund. I remember when Al Gore came out with his book. He did the whole inconvenient truth about the climate alarmism. And then him and David Blood joined forces. So listen to this, Gore and Blood.
Yeah,
right?
how nice.
And they had an investment fund, and it was all about the climate agenda because they were going to profit on this climate alarmism. And that's where I would also put out to people who might be interested a great movie called Planet of the Humans.
Okay.
Really phenomenal movie that looks at a lot of the lies, misinformation, and manipulation of data around this climate agenda.
That's what this article is all about.
Exactly.
So, the scientific journal Nature in December retracted one of the most influential climate economics papers of the past decade. Mm-hmm. The paper was by Maximilian Coates, Anders Leverman, and Leonie Wentz, and I apologize if I butchered those names, claimed that unmitigated climate change would cost the global economy $38 trillion a year in 2025 international dollars. Okay, so based on that, the worth of dollars in 2025 by mid-century, 38 trillion a year by mid-century.
Insane.
It was the second most mentioned climate paper by the media in 2024, according to Carbon Brief. The paper was cited by central banks and governments to justify aggressive climate policies. Didn't we just read an article about aggressive climate policies? Okay.
Oh, hop on the agenda,
Yeah.
make some money. Yep.
So then it collapsed. The authors acknowledged that errors were, quote, too substantial for a correction. That's a big deal. Nature retracted the paper more than 18 months after first learning of its problems. Most media coverage treated this as an unfortunate aberration in what is otherwise settled science. Settled science? I don't think so.
Science is never settled.
Right.
Come on.
The retraction, however, isn't a one-off. It revealed a crack that runs much deeper into the foundation of climate research. Economists Finbar Curtin and Matthew Burgess at the University of Wyoming released a preprint on April 20 that points out the broader flaws with current climate change research, making the Coates et al. Retraction look like small potatoes. Their paper, quote, "The empirically inscrutable climate economy relationship," end quote, starts from the most basic question in climate economics. Can researchers actually measure how climate affects the economy from the historical record?
Good question.
Their answer is no. That matters enormously because over the past decade, the field of climate economics has generated some of the most consequential numbers in global finance and governance. Central banks around the world have restructured their risk framework. Around these findings. The Network for Greening the Financial System, I didn't know there was even such a thing.
Well, they'd like to make one because they could get a good return on investment.
Yeah, well, a coalition of more than 130 central banks and supervisors, including the European Central Bank and the Bank of England, built its climate scenario guidance on climate economics research.
Predictive modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Federal agencies in the U.S., especially under the Obama and Biden presidencies, estimate the quote, social cost of carbon when assessing the costs and benefits of proposed environmental policies.
Can I just tell you how this played in also in Vermont with the Clean Heat
Sure.
Standard?
Oh,
so are we at it again? We'll pick up with that next time. The social cost. No. We need to look at real costs to real Vermonters on the ground. That's what we're looking out for.
Yeah, we really need to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, somehow or another, we need to find more time and squeak more stuff into this 1 hour program. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us. Remember, stay safe, stay informed, listen to Right Side Up.